and welcome to the 2023 annual meetings of the World Bank Group and IMF. I'm Sandrine Rastello, live from Marrakesh, Morocco. Before we start, I want to acknowledge the devastating earthquake that took place in Morocco last month. At this very difficult time, we are here to stand by Morocco and its people. In order to end poverty on a livable planet, we must understand how to foster growth that creates enough jobs to meet the needs of young people who will enter the workforce over the next decade and beyond.
First of all, thank you for the invitation, and special thanks also to the audience and for the interest. Jobs is the hustle of every government, and creating jobs is very important, and creating decent jobs is even more difficult. And creating decent, sustainable, long-standing jobs in a competitive landscape is even more complicated. And doing all this in a post-pandemic era is practically a miracle. For Morocco, we've been here running, we've been in office for 2 years now. And the first objective was to provide jobs and revenue to thousands of Moroccans who lost their jobs during the pandemic. This is how the government launched a program called Awrash, which is based on limited time of work between 4 to 6 months for those who really lost their jobs. And we managed last year, 2022, to provide jobs for 104,000 people paid with the minimum wage, declared to the Social Security with an engineering that was involved local governments so that the projects are delivered on the ground. This year we launched an additional 50,000 jobs with companies, and we worked for something like 6 months with 130 companies and managed to recruit 50,000 people. But still, jobs come from investment. And we launched this important project under the vision of His Majesty, which is the Charter of Investment. And the big thing here is the labor code. The Moroccan labor code is practically 20 years old. And so many things happened in the workforce landscape.
We face almost the same problems. Being a Minister of Economy, you can't even sleep because you are responsible almost for everything that happens in the market. But I would like to just raise some particularities of Angola. Angola was for many years a centrally planned economy. So jobs were created by the government. So we had to really make sure that with jobs we are able to work on the productivity of the labor force. So we decided to create some kind of anchors, some kind of magnets, so that no matter what project is implemented, there is a vision of creating jobs.
For me at Active Foods Limited, I would consider access to funding as my major barrier when I was starting my business. And I think this is the same experience for a lot of women in my country that are also trying to start their business. I faced the constraint of funding because a lot of banks require collateral that I did not have. You see that all along the line, there has always been that funding constraint for women, especially for startups.
I can only speak about like what is about job coming from a tech industry, or how tech is providing jobs in any industry. I mean, as you can imagine, I mean, if you can come from it from the bottom, I mean, tech is improving the automation and many tasks in a company. So definitely more jobs are created so people can spend more time on things that are more adding value. So definitely, tech is something that has helped us like increase the scale of our business and go further.
There are new questions that governments need to ask themselves with regards to jobs, the future of jobs. Because one of the trends that you have in all the latest reports is this shift from employment to work. And this is what you're describing. In Morocco in particular, we launched this huge project, under His Majesty's leadership, of generalizing the social protection, so that at least, even if you're not employed on a regular basis, you are protected.
I always get worried when discussions about economic opportunity and jobs get captured in a way through the prism of startups, because the reality is, as the Minister was just saying, that's great, but there's a much broader tapestry we need to look at here. We run a campaign in Latin America, I've just been working in Latin America, called Yo Soy Empresario. The whole point there is everyone can be a businessman or businesswoman. The whole concept that we want is how do you make it easier to actually do that? But don't kick own goals. There's a classic issue. If you want to actually be part of the artificial intelligence world, you've got to allow data to flow. Data to flow across borders. I'm not talking about personal data, it's business-related data. At the moment, there's a push at the WTO to actually not renew the moratorium against putting tariffs on cross-border data flows. That is just crazy. That's an own goal. We need to maintain that, because the confusion of actually putting a tax effectively on that data, which was what would happen, would actually impede the prospect, the participation in artificial intelligence, and impede the potential for inclusive economic growth supported by artificial intelligence.
I know you wanted to say something very quickly, because then I want to do my...
Yes, just a word to say that we've worked now for a year on a specific observatory of the marketplace based on artificial intelligence. And we've developed something like with a Moroccan university, 5 digital coaches. They address the job seekers, and they try to coach them on the how to rewrite their CVs, how to apply, etc. But on the other hand, we're working with the employers so that we make sure that the job specifications, names, nomenclatura, in other words, are redefined according to the AI engine. And the idea is to open up to the international mobility market so that we make sure that there is a better match of between the job seekers and the employers.
La parole.